that so many of us have taken for granted is not lost on any of us. And that's why I want to commend the entire coalition of Prop 1. I want to commend the pro tem, Tony Atkins. I want to commend the Speaker, Anthony Rendon, to Jody Hicks and her team. It was a remarkable effort. And I was saying, Jody, just a moment ago, and to all of you, how proud I am that we affirmed clearly with conviction that we are a true freedom state, that we embrace the rights of women and girls. And I made the point that it is a point of contrast with the uncertainty that we're currently experiencing as it relates to the national mood. But in California, we have asserted ourselves with clarity and conviction, as only California can. And it's a point of pride as well, because we recognize we have a lot more work to do. And I was talking about a little humility, having the opportunity to represent the people of this state, 40 million Americans strong, the most diverse state in the world's most diverse democracy, where the issues of diversity are being challenged in states large and small. Rights that we've come all to enjoy are on the line in states large and small. We have governors that won their re-elections tonight in other states that are banning books, that are banning speech, that are banning abortion. And here we are in California moving in a completely different direction. That's a deep point of pride. And it's with that passion that I bring to this second term a resolve to do more to advance that cause of freedom and fairness. And I say fairness in this context. We're living in a society where not everybody's being treated fairly. There's that zest for demonization coming from the other side, these red states where, there's a cruelty, talking down to people, bullying people, making them feel lesser. That cruelty is extended by, flying migrants to an island and celebrating that as some fleeting victory at others' expense. We are mindful of the moment we're in our politics. And so we have a responsibility as Californians to do more about what we did tonight, to continue to assert our values, which we hold dear. We believe they're American values, certainly California values. The dream is predicated on all of us living. All
right, you're hearing Governor Gavin Newsom, his acceptance speech there. And I want to get back to Efrain Perez from UCLA, if we could, our political scientist. There you are. Having heard that speech, having heard some of what the governor said during this campaign season, sounded not just that he was running for governor of California, but that maybe he has higher aspirations. A lot of people have been talking about that. What do you think, based on what you're hearing?
Yeah, I mean, based on what I'm hearing, based on what I've seen in terms of his level of activity and the messaging, it seems unsurprisingly that he has ambitions that go far beyond the state. In one way, it's a great thing as far as California and his experience here serving as a potential model of what could fly in the nation. But on the other hand, it's also a complicated endeavor in some ways, because California is seen by non-Californians throughout the U.S. sort of as extreme or a vision of America that perhaps they're trying to keep at bay. And as you heard by his comments, there are many areas, many states, many locales throughout the United States where everything that California stands for, say progressivism, diversity, et cetera, is not really what they're in the market for. So it'd be interesting to have him in the race, but as far as, whether that's just, a skate in the park, highly doubtful.
All right. The polls closed about 15 minutes ago, and we are now seeing some of the election results. And Karen Bass seems to be in the lead. She has a healthy lead. Any predictions in that race?
So I think it's actually in many ways hers to lose, right? She entered this race a while back as a candidate with more experience, more name recognition, and established track record. And I think what often gets lost on many of us who don't habitually follow politics is, she has a long track record, both at state, national, and local politics, which means that if she were to be elected, she actually has a realistic chance of moving the needle on a lot of the local problems that seem to be on voters' minds.
One of the knocks on Karen Bass was that she has not really had to deal with a very competitive race before. She's been at the district level, you know, running in districts that were pretty safe. Once you're in, you're pretty much in, as opposed to something like this, where you've got an opponent in particular who's going to spend $100 million against you. You need to have all your ducks in a row, and there were some of the knock on her is that she really didn't.
Yeah, so I mean, I think from the outside looking in, you know, this seems like an atypical race for her. But if you follow sort of her moves and counter moves, I mean, in many ways, she's let Rick Caruso spend the money that he has to try to get his name amplified. And I think she's rested primarily on her record, primarily on her name recognition. And then in the last few weeks, has really started to move aggressively to mobilize the people that she knows are already behind her, and then investing in trying to essentially convert new voters toward her governing agenda that she's proposing.
All right. And in the race for LA County Sheriff, in your opinion, do you think the combativeness of the relationship between the sheriff and the LA Board of Supervisors